The Prime Minister is seeking legal advice after it was revealed his predecessor, Scott Morrison, was secretly sworn into 3 cabinet positions while in office. Mr Morrison's former colleagues are also speaking out, revealing they were kept in the dark. Let's go live to Trudy McIntosh. Trudy, you've got breaking news about the Governor-General's involvement.
Tom, we've received a statement in the last few minutes into Sky News from a spokesman for the Governor-General, David Hurley, about his involvement in what's now being called secret ministries that Scott Morrison had held during the height of the COVID pandemic and even after that, where he swore himself in or became responsible jointly as Health, Finance and also Resources Minister. This is the statement we have from a spokesman for the Governor-General. It says, quote, "The Governor-General, following normal process and acting on the advice of the government of the day, appointed former Prime Minister Morrison to administer portfolios other than the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet. The appointments were made consistently with Section 64 of the Constitution." It goes on to say, "It is not uncommon for ministers to be appointed to administer departments other than their portfolio responsibility. These appointments do not require a swearing-in ceremony. The Governor-General signs an administrative instrument on the advice of the Prime Minister." It adds, "Questions around appointments of this nature are a matter for the government of the day and the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet. Similarly, the decision whether to publicise appointments to administer additional portfolios is a matter for the government of the day." Sky News has also confirmed that Her Majesty the Queen was not provided any knowledge that these changes had been made in the Morrison ministry. There are still a number of questions that arise out of that statement we've just got from the Governor-General. It's clear that David Hurley is trying to distance himself from at least this decision not to publicise it. He says very clearly that that was a matter for the Prime Minister, but there is a question mark over the timing. We do not have specific dates of when the changes were made by Scott Morrison or when these powers ceased. This is all stemmed out of this bombshell book that has just been published by 2 journalists from The Australian chronicling the Morrison government's handling of the COVID pandemic. They've revealed that early on, Mr Morrison wanted to become the joint health minister and finance minister, a concern that the sole power that would be provided to Greg Hunt as minister during a pandemic, they needed to have some checks and balances, but it never was made public until we have now seen the revelations in this book. The current Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, says there are questions that need to be answered here. He will be getting a briefing from the head of his department this afternoon and receiving legal advice as well. He says he'll make that public tomorrow. Here's the Prime Minister.
This isn't some, local footy club. This is the government of Australia, where the people of Australia were kept in the dark as to what the ministerial arrangements were. This is very contrary to our Westminster system. It is unbecoming, it was cynical, and it was just weird that this has occurred, and Australians will be scratching their head.
There has also been a separate report out of news.com.au that the Prime Minister also, Scott Morrison at the time, swore himself in as Resources Minister and that he did so without the knowledge of the then Minister Keith Pitt. The claim here is Mr Morrison did so and then rolled Keith Pitt on this decision over the controversial PEP 11 project, which is off the coast of New South Wales. There is a question mark over the legality of that decision, given there was 2 ministers essentially acting in that role at the time. As to whether there was knowledge within Mr Morrison's own cabinet, it seems many of them were kept in the dark about this, including Matthias Cormann, the then finance minister, who was sharing a responsibility with Mr Morrison. Our political editor, Andrew Clennell, this morning confirmed that Mr Cormann was not aware that Mr Morrison had also taken on that role. Others within cabinet, including very senior nationals, were also kept in the dark. We've seen them publicly speak out today.
I think it's pretty ordinary. We should have respected that process, should have respected the forum of Cabinet to articulate and argue out ideas and policy areas and come to a consensus.
We don't have a presidential form of government, we have a cabinet system of government, and if you don't like the work a certain cabinet minister's doing, then you can talk to them about it, and obviously you have the right to threaten to sack them, or you can sack them. But I think it's very bad practice when a Prime Minister or any other senior minister starts having ultimate say over another person's portfolio.
So, Tom, just reiterating that breaking news at the top here that the Governor-General has responded, confirming that Mr Morrison was responsible for other portfolios at a time during the pandemic, but there is still plenty of unanswered questions in this story. In particular, the dates on which all of this happened. When did Mr Morrison stop becoming the Joint Health Minister? When was he stop becoming the Joint Finance Minister? We still don't have the answers to that.
Yeah, it does make you wonder whether Labor will change its mind on whether a royal commission into all of COVID handling is needed. They appear to have cooled on that since the election, so there's another one to throw in the mix. Trudy, thank you.